Welcome to Insatiable, the podcast where we discuss the intersection of food, psychology, and culture. Today, I'm going to tell you about my own Truce with Food framework evolution, and maybe why you're jaded, overwhelmed, or think you've seen it all at this point, and perhaps you haven't. Why frameworks beat protocols or plans any day of the week when it comes to body-based goals and really deep transformation. And then if you really want to make this your year for transformational change. I'm your host, Ali Shapiro, an integrated health coach, 32-year and counting cancer survivor, and have radically healed my relationship with food and my body. And for the past 17 years, I've been working with clients individually, in group programs, and in company settings to do the same. Welcome. The information in this podcast should not be considered personal, individual, or medical advice. So if you want to make 2026 the year that you really have a truce with food, which is where you get results and enjoy them instead of worried that they're going to go away, I want to invite you to my free workshop coming up in February called Untangle Your Food Triggers, Catch Yourself Before You Fall Off Track on Tuesday, February 11th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be talking about it more in this episode, but wanted to let you know all about it. All right. It's January 2026 if you're listening to this currently. If you're tuning in later, how's the horse energy going? Are you all ready for some fire horse energy? If you, like me, were born in 1978 or January to mid-February 79, we're horses, y'all. Giddy up. I am ready for some fresh energy. I know 2025 was the year of the snake and a lot of shedding and but if you're a horse person, and again, every 12 years, so if you're like 1966, that's horse energy. I don't know if it'll be extra intense for us. I hope not. Apparently horse energy is already intense. And we also, if you're an astrology person, and there's a lot of fire and air coming. So I expect this year to be really different. Before we get to today's episode, I also just want to celebrate 10 years of this podcast. Yes, Buzzsprout, my podcasting platform, emailed me. It's been 10 years since I started this. I cannot believe that. I mean, the pure persistence and dedication. I'm kind of proud of myself. And I also have to say, I know many of you, there's a lot of new people here, but many of you have been listening since the beginning. Because we talked about it on Instagram when I posted about this 10-year anniversary. And we're at over 1 million global downloads over the course of 10 years. And that's coming from me, who I don't podcast every week. There's been seasons, right? It's pretty incredible. So it's a big milestone. And I just want to thank all of you who are listening, and especially all of those who have worked with me or taken my programs, because that's really the fuel that enables this podcast to go on. So thank you, everybody. And I'm coming to you today to talk about some changes that have happened in the year of the snake for me, a lot of composting and refining that I've done to better serve you all in the podcast, and especially my clients, because my clients are the best. If you've been in my group programs, you know it's like the best place to hang out on the internet, and that's saying something because the internet can be quite a beast. And my clients deserve the best. They give to so many other people. They are thoughtful, caring, sensitive people. And so I took last year and really did a lot of behind the scenes stuff to make it a lot more fun and clear and helpful. So today, I want to tell you about some important changes in my work and why they're going to matter to you, especially as a podcast listener. And even if you and I don't work together this year, this is going to help you be more discerning about what support you really need this year with your body goals, well-being, versus what's a waste of all your resources. And resources anymore isn't just money. It's time, it's capacity, it's self-trust, right? One of the biggest things I talk to when people joining my programs or working with me privately is like, I am so afraid of failing at this. I have failed at so many other things. And I'm going to be doing an upcoming episode of how you got to redefine success. But for right now, I don't want you to waste more self-trust. I hope today's episode helps you start to realize why maybe you need to give back some of that doubt to the approaches you tried, not take it all on yourself. So today I'm going to tell you about my own Truce with Food framework evolution, and maybe why you're jaded, overwhelmed, or think you've seen it all at this point, and perhaps you haven't. Why frameworks beat protocols or plans any day of the week when it comes to body-based goals and really deep transformation. And then if you really want to make this your year for transformational change, Horse Energy asks us to call in bravery, courage, right? We can't do things the way we used to do them if we want them to change. I have a free workshop coming up for you, and the details will be, I shared it at the top, but you'll have more context as we go through the episode. And I'll also tell you again at the end. So part of these changes are also shorter episodes. Yippee! Gallop. I'm leaning too hard into this horse energy theme. It hasn't even happened, and I'm trying to rush it. So we're going to move on. But first, I want to set the stage. So I was chatting with my friend Kathleen Shannon from Braid, not brave, but she is brave, Braid Creative, which is a integrative marketing studio this summer. And Kathleen has been on this show. I was on her old podcast, Being Boss. We're like really good friends. I love her. And she listens to the show. So Kathleen, if you're listening to this. But we were texting, and I don't remember exactly what it was, probably some pop culture, like, what do you think of this? Because we talk about kind of the rich text of what happens, or we sometimes talk about crazy health trends. And she was, as we were talking or voice memoing, and she was like, wait, so you mean to tell me that all of your programs are part of your bigger framework, right? She had her branding hat on, and they're not just like random programs. And I was like, no, they're all part of this like developmental work that I take people through. And when she said that, it made me realize I know that, but I'm really a guide and practitioner and subject matter expert first. I'm not a marketer, right? That's not something I'm still growing into. My business plan was just to try to help people when I left my corporate job, right? Like I was very naive, but still have that pure heart. But anyways, it made me realize, especially at this time where the online space is so noisy, right? It's become this attention economy where if you can say the most sensational thing, the most controversial thing, people will tune in, but that stuff is rarely what actually moves the needle, right? And then we're also in what people are calling, who run group courses, containers, like a trust recession, right? Which I don't blame anybody for. Okay, I have been doing this for 19 years. I was doing this when you had to explain what an online course was to people, just kind of like an online podcast, right? Just like I'm having to explain to people what food is safety was. I used to have to explain what gut health was, right? But we're in a trust recession. People have taken a lot of courses and got burned. And that tracks for me as I've watched what people have put up, the type of courses that have been going out. They're kind of like information dumps. And then there's conflicting information and So I really wanted to take the time to step back and say like, no, this is all part of a research-based, okay? This isn't me just throwing together random stuff, random information. No, I'm a less is more woman, okay? I work with people who are 35 and older. We don't got time, right? And especially people in midlife, bullshit meter's high. You've tried a lot of things, right? So this is really a research-based framework. And I wanted to be clear that this is a framework. And I'm going to get into why you probably want to work with people who are using frameworks, not protocols, in a minute. But there is so much out here that, again, I said is this scattershot approach. Or in functional medicine, you start with the end in mind, meaning, okay, you need to reduce your sugar, get more fiber in, and stress less. Okay, great. Thanks, Einstein. How do I do that, right? A framework shows you how to arrive there. But so many of us think we start with the end in mind instead of thinking, how do I work my way up there, right? So my programs have always been methodical, intentional, research-based, moving people from one developmental stage to another to have a truce with food, okay? And it's always been small bites of my truce with food framework, but my programs weren't communicating that. So my old program, called Why Am I Eating This Now? It is still, that's the old name, same program, same profound results. It is now going to be called Truce with Food Consistency to reflect that it's part of this research-based framework. In fact, it's the first step. So why do you want a framework instead of a gut healing protocol or learn my formula to end emotional eating, right? Why a framework? And I am going to quote the brilliant and pioneering Andrea Nakayama. Now, I've had Andrea on my podcast. She was the original co-founder of Functional Nutrition. I forget the exact name of her company. She's since not part of it, but she and I were both at the very beginning of functional medicine. I've been on her podcast. She's amazing. She's an excellent communicator, brilliant practitioner. Anyways, she has this quote that she shared on Instagram, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. Take me to church, Andrea. And what her quote says is, protocols tell you what to do without knowing who you are. Frameworks help you ask the right questions, deepening your own self-knowledge. Okay, so many of you feel overwhelmed or think you have failed at all of these things when really the doubt should be on a protocol that has no idea where you are, what life stage you're in, what health history you're bringing to this, what relationship to food and baggage you're bringing to something. And the truth is we get more unique as we age, okay? So we need a framework, right? Maybe anything would have worked for you in your 20s. That's not going to be the case over 40, okay? Good frameworks provide the timeless foundations with the flexibility to meet you where you are. So for example, let's take hormones, since that is very much a buzzword, right? Hormones are important to you, right? And depending on if you're having period problems and cramps, or you're struggling with fertility or infertility, it may be if you're struggling with perimenopause or menopause, right? How you support those hormones, you need to bring context and nuance to your life, right? However, everything that's related to hormones comes down to blood sugar, gut health, and stress management, right? Even if you're like, but toxins, yes. And to be able to detox all of that, you need proper gut health. But not everyone is has toxin problems, right? So what I'm saying is when you have to get down to what's essential, right? And Truce with Food gets down to essential. What is how to close the knowing but not doing gap, right? It is a framework of transformational change around food, our bodies, and healing. A framework is important because it also means there's a clear path. It's not, oh, I learned this from this person from this person. And that is all great, right? We all kind of have to start there, right? And again, you'll get a lot of mileage out of that if you have a lot of time and energy to burn. My clients do not. We are over functioning already. That's part of the problem. We want a clear path, right? And so this framework came out of my own journey, right? Not only just ending my battle with food, healing from cancer, working through infertility, and then the dark hole of postmenopause and menopause at the same time, but it's also been tested by hundreds of clients. Y'all, I've been doing the podcast for 10. I've been working with clients for almost double that, talking about 19 years in February, okay? So this is timeless, yet meets you also where you are. We have people coming from all stages, people who are mothers who aren't mothers, people who want a career change, people who love their jobs but are struggling with parenting, right? Like it's all different, but they're all going to have to go through the same framework to change how they relate to food. Okay, so what does all this mean for you as a listener who, if you are a listener who want to make this your year, that you really change your food, okay? If any of this is resonating, I want to tell you about my 3-month Truce with Food consistency program opening in February. We'll be talking about more of that. I'm not going to be talking about that today, but a next step to kind of test the waters, take an appetizer, sink your teeth into this, right? Kick some tires is my free workshop, Untangle. I want to invite you, if this is resonating, to my free workshop, Untangle Your Food Triggers, Catch Yourself Before You Fall Off Track on Tuesday, February 11th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this triggers workshop is where we go from, I know it's not about the food, which you've probably said 100 times, to actually getting what's driving you turning to food. No more tools, not another protocol, just, oh, that's what's happening. And this is why I keep ending up here. And the cool thing is once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the whole point. I have so many clients who take this workshop and then especially after they go through Truce with Food consistency are like, I've always heard that like, okay, 80% of the time it's not about the food. And I thought that was so annoying. And now I get it. And I know what my real work is to do. And I'm doing it, right? So in this workshop, you're going to discover why falling off track with your food makes complete sense, why it is a protective pattern. Yep, you heard that right. And you're going to walk away with the most important mindset shift you can make around your food habits if lasting change without feeling deprived is what you're after. You're also going to discover the 4 emotional triggers that bring on food self-sabotage, even when you're feeling great, and the emotional eating blueprint that allows you to stay on track for the results you crave. And to sign up, you can go to trucewithfood.com/consistency. So how do you know if this workshop is for you, right? Because some clients are like, this is what I need. You've given me language. Let's do this. And other clients are like, I feel like I know everything already. I'm just not doing it. I feel like superior, like I know it all, right? I've had all the tools, all the therapy. I do the meditation. I know what I need to do for my food. But then I also feel inferior because I'm not doing it, right? So how do you know if this workshop is for you, right? It depends on your developmental stage, right? So there are 4 stages in the developmental process to a truce with food. And a developmental process, another way of saying that in marketing terms is growth, right? Where are you? Stage 1 of growth, stage 2 of growth, stage 3, stage 4 of growth. And it's really a maturation process, not around I'm getting mature. Do you remember when people used to say mature? It is about wisdom, but it's about, all right, I got to take responsibility for my body, right? I've been conditioned my whole life to think it only matters if I'm losing weight. And I can't do that anymore. I got to show up. Doesn't mean I don't get help and support, but this is my body. I'm the one who lives in it 24/7. And I got to slow down to speed up to learn how my body works, okay? Including why is it so wise that I keep turning to food? Why does this almost work? And what emotions feel really risky and why, right? That I keep doing this. So that's what I mean by a developmental process. It's a maturation of levels of responsibility, okay? And again, culturally, we're taught to just say like, doctor, tell me what to do. Influencer, tell me what to do. Diet expert, tell me what to do. We all start there. This is nothing to be ashamed of. I was there for 18 years. And when you get fed up, right? I love a good food metaphor. That's when we all change, right? For the most part. So there are 4 stages of this growth, maturation, developmental process to a truce with food. And based on conversation with clients and how I hear most people in the functional medicine space and even progressive midlife space talk about most things, based on people's language, I can kind of discern what stage they're in. I had a hunch that most people are in stage 2 of this developmental process, right? And now I have all this data. Hundreds of people have already taken my new assessment. It's not like an assessment to grade you. It's kind of like, where are you in the developmental process? And again, you can, if you want to take that quiz, you can take it at trucewithfood.com/find your food stage. And we'll put a link in the show notes if you want to take the assessment. But after so many people have taken the assessment, I know it's now confirmed that my intuition and instincts were right. Stage 2 is where most of us land. And stage 2 is the perfect time to do this because real foundational work has been done here, okay? So stage 2 is like you've left diet culture behind, or mostly, right? Or at least you can see it's crazy, right? Or you've been in therapy, you've done a lot of journaling, a lot of my clients are sober. That is incredible work and foundational work to food, right? Because you're willing to look inwards and reflect. I really just want to take a moment and say, this is not small stuff, right? I think at any learning curve, the beginning takes the longest. So this is a really important stage to get to, okay? And yet, when you're here, food still takes up way more mental real estate than it should. You're like, I've done all this work. Why is this still hard? Why am I not getting the results I want? Or I'm successful in every area of my life. Why is this the thing? Okay. And something deeper is going on in stage 2, right? When we're in stage 1, we're still just kind of flipping through protocols and hoping there's something else out there that I miss. I still feel like there's something I've missed. And you may still feel that way, but you at least have the nudge that something deeper is going on. And you can feel it, but you can't quite name it. And when you're tired or stressed, all of your tools that you've worked on just disappear. And you're back to that thing where you need to be alone and eat. and ask me how I know, right? So if that sounds like you, then this workshop is going to meet you at a really, really great time. And if you're curious, where you are, definitely take the quiz. But if this episode resonated, you're really ready to approach things from a research-based frame. And I say client proven because look, I love academia, but we all know there's a lot to theories versus when you're trying to implement that as a complex, multifaceted human being. So this is research-based, client proven, okay? If this is resonating, I hope you will join me and take the very first step. Join me at my free workshop, Untangle Your Food Triggers. Catch yourself before you fall off track on Tuesday, February 11th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to trucewithfood.com/consistency. There's a link in the show notes. And this is a free sneak preview of my Truce with Food consistency program, which is the first step in the Truce with Food framework. And it will move you from stage 2 development to stage 3. So I hope you all have a wonderful start to your 2026 and are getting prepared for horsier and horsier energy. And hope to see many of you at the workshop. Until next episode, have a good one.